Hello there and Happy New Year. I'm Dominic Saint-Pierre and you're listening to Go Podcast. Today I wanted to talk about, how to prevent null pointer errors in your code. There has been a decently popular post last week on Reddit actually on that. And the person that posted was saying at the end of their post something like, well, I really like Go and whatnot, but since that error, I'm not sure I can recommend Go anymore or something like that. And I felt it very, very interesting because let's me just resume a little bit the post. So if you haven't seen it or you don't really know what I'm talking about, so basically a company had some kind of production Go application that that has been written by maybe not junior developer, but developers that were not really used to Go. So that was mentioned in the post, and this application was basically bound to a SQL table that had one or multiple fields that allow nulls, columns, values in there, and basically as at some point someone inserted a row into that table with a null value, and now the production application kept crashing and reopening and things like that. So they there were money lost involved in that and whatnot. So I fully understand the point of view of the person that posts, but on the other hand, I mean this is plaguing our industry from most languages that do not really have a result type, for example. So anything that do involve object oriented and things like that. So this is the $1 billion mistake. The null references, dereferencing a pointer that points to nothing is going to crash on all sorts of languages. So it's not Go at all. I mean it has nothing to do with Go. So that's what I found very interesting, because what I felt was like they were kind of finger pointing toward Go, but to be frank or to be clear, I mean I think that could have happened in all languages, in Java.net and things like that. I mean this is not tied to Go, and how would you prevent that? So I did a YouTube video on that. So I mean, if you are interested into looking exactly on code sample and whatnot, I've restarted my channel on YouTube as well. So side note in here, I gave a small challenge to me to try to post at least once per week on my YouTube channel, on this podcast, and also on the blog that I have. So yes, I mean let's see how it will go. I don't know, but suffice to say that, how would you prevent that from your side? Well, like I was saying in the YouTube video, this is a solved problem. Actually, there's the null string, null int, and null x type in the SQL package that directly attack this issue. So when you are declaring your structure that replicate exactly what you have on your SQL table, if you have columns on your database that allow nulls, then you can just use a SQL.null string, for example, and now you have a way to trap those. So you have a valid field, and you have the string field on the structure. So there's no danger of dereferencing a nil pointer in Go, actually, that points to something that does not exist, actually, because that's what I was doing in the YouTube video. I was trying to find what could have been the cause, the exact cause, or try to do some I don't know, some projection or a speculation on what could have happened, because it was still very vague, and I kind of, created some examples and some potential issues that arise normally with pointer and whatnot. So basically, my best supposition that might have happened was that they might have a function attached to their structure, and inside that function they might have dereference the field that could be a nil. So it was probably a string pointer, so they might have dereference that. So yeah, again, since I don't know exactly what happened, but I was trying to give some example, and to be frank, I mean, as good software engineer, we still need to catch those in code review, I think. So if you are going to let some developers new to a language, so it's not really only related to Go, but if you're going to let them write code that will run into production, then I mean there has to be some code review that is involved by a more experienced programmers, before that process or that program is put into production. I mean, let's do some validation, and most often than not, the majority of errors that occur on the back end on languages like Go, and everything that do have pointer, the null reference error is still true. I mean, we still need to have a lot of guard against code that is touching. When we know that we are using a pointer, we still need to check. Is this thing is nil? So in my example on the YouTube video, what I was doing was, I had this combine function that was attached to the structure. So the structure received some field from the database, and you create a function on a function on this a pointer receiver that you are receiving from the structure type. But yes, I mean, you still need to first check, am I receiving something actually in the receiver, because your not only the field that is type pointer to a string can be nil, but the structure itself that the function is receiving, so the pointer receiver, can receive a nil as well. So if you are going to do anything with that structure that is passed to you, you still need, if it's possible, if you know that it is remotely possible that the structure is going to be nil, then you need to check that it's nil. So, and with all the the first aversion that most people have towards Go when they are starting is regarding the if error not equal nil. But if you are using some pointer, you will have a lot of code that is similar to that. But now you will check for, is this pointer pointing to something actually? Can I, is it safe for me to access its field to difference it at some point? So again, I mean, it's not because pointer are there that we need to use that for anything. So that is one thing. For database, like I was saying, I mean, this is a solved problem. You can use the SQL package and use the null X, Y, and Z and things like that, but when we are outside of a database, then, I mean, good software engineering discipline is needed at this moment. Are you really needing a pointer in here? Why exactly do you want to use a pointer? And people keep talking about Rust and languages with result type, but arguably we do have a kind of a nice built-in way, if you think about that, to do a little bit. I'm not saying that it is the same. I'm saying that it's a little bit similar to what a result type is. If we were to have a function that can return a nil and an error, for example, so why not just return a structure and use the error and communicate that, this data is empty, or it's not possible to fill this structure and whatnot. So instead of returning no error but a nil, which could be dangerous if there's not enough discipline in the team, or in the multiple teams that might be using maybe it's a package, an internal package that is developed internally at your organization, and now the caller needs to account for, it's possible that there will not be any error, but still the structure that is returned by this function is going to be nil. And now if you pick any kind of junior developer, they might not think about that themselves. If it's not very, very clear at some point, we've all been bitten by this thing, and this is plaguing JavaScript as well. How many times there is function call on a undefined or null object and whatnot in JavaScript. This is the same on all of those languages. So Go has nothing to do with that. It's an industry wide thing to really think about this thing and be be disciplined about that. And so that's why I'm saying that if we were to use, instead of using a nil pointer, we could use directly the error. So now we are already used to check for error. So why not introduce a custom error on your package, for example, and that would tell something like, well, there's no data, whatever. So inside the check for error, so if error is not nil, then we could check, okay, is this error the empty value 1? And now your program can do, the caller at least can do something with that. So they will at least always have this code path that it's very clear. If the function is supposed to return something, it's either something or it's either an error. And arguably this is kind of close-ish to a result type. So I'm I've been doing a lot of Elm since 2017, whatever. But there's a great typing system in Elm, and I mean, I fully agree that results are great, but and I've seen people trying to replicate that with generics and Go and whatnot. But I mean, why not just use the already familiar tuple that we are returning? So you have a fully working structure, or you have an error, and we communicate via the error. I think just like it is intended, that there's no data in here, so there's no need to check, because otherwise you will need to first check for the error, and after that you will need to check, well, if the thing that I'm receiving, the structure, if it's a pointer, then is it null? Is it nil? So granted, in terms of lines of code, there's not much difference. It's the same, but I think it's a little bit safer, and especially maybe for younger developers that might not have been bitten by this so far in their careers as much as people with more years of experience have. So yes, I mean, this could be something to think about. But again, I mean, is a pointer is really required? And I know I already did an episode on that. I mean, but this post was kind of triggering something inside me, because it felt a little. Well, first of all, it was really popular, so. But it felt like it was implying that this was a Go thing, And I'm sorry, but I've written a truckload of application in my career so far, and other than functional programming like Elm, for example, I've always seen these issues in all of them. So if you think about C#, for example, there is people keep talking about if error is not equal to nil, but in C# you are always checking, well, is this thing a string or what is it, string or empty, I think, something like that. So there's always, you are always checking for null in those languages. I would bet that Java is very similar. Yes, I haven't done Java in my life. I could not. But yes, that's another story. But yes, so I mean, make sure that you impose some discipline into your team when this is just the basic software engineering. So make sure that if you are using Pointer, that when people are doing code review and whatnot, make sure that there is some guardrails around that. And again, I mean, yes, I don't agree at all with this. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm just assuming that the post was implying, because the poster said something like, I will have a very hard time to recommend Go anymore, and it triggers something inside me, because I mean, I just think that Go is good. It's not the only thing, and again, I mean, I always keep saying, don't say that you are switching to a language. Just say that you are learning a new language, and you're not ditching what you have learned, and it's fine. It's all good to have multiple languages. I still write some Python myself. I like to dabble into functional programming a little bit here and there when I can. It's our job. It's what we are paid for. It's probably what you like. And myself, this is my job, but this is also my hobby. I just love to program. So I mean, I do appreciate to learn lots of languages and whatnot. But Pointer are, they need some attention. They need your full dedication, and you need to have those kind of if statement around them. Otherwise, well, yes, it will happen in production. And again, I mean, changing data into production without without running any kind of program locally or in a test environment and whatnot, those things will happen. It is what it is. We no matter how many tests you have, those things will happen if there's not enough code. But arguably, if you are going to use Pointer and it's possible that a pointer could be nil, well, should you have a test that test for all your code path? Is it going to crash your program? It should not. Or maybe it should, because now it's implied that this pointer, it's impossible that it could be nil. And now, I mean, well, how will you ensure that? So I mean, this is a little bit tricky. I mean, it's not it's not the end of the world, but those pointer, even though they are very easy in Go, they still need to be a little bit talked about, taught. You need there's some thinking to be had for that. All right, on that, have a good week, and see you next week.